What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another edition of the Transfer View. And big news, very big news this morning. Excuse me. Bruno Fernandes could be on his way out of Manchester United. Because the Manchester United captain, his representatives have been spotted. Yes, spotted holding talks in Saudi Arabia. We'd heard a few days ago that there was going to be this deadline. Thursday, KG's favorite day of the week, Thursday. And with that coming, there was going to be a Bruno Fernandes deadline for Thursday. I tell you what, I'm dying this morning. Literally. I'm dying this morning. I think I'm under the weather. But Thursday was going to be this deadline for Bruno to have a move to Saudi. He was going to have a move to Saudi. And it had to be decided by Thursday. This was the ultimatum that was given. 100 million pounds, £700,000 a week is what it was going to be. Wow. Thursday came and went and everyone thought, okay, Thursday's come and gone. That's going to be, Thursday's come and gone. I guess nothing's really happened. But, hey, guys, agent spotted. Al Hilal CEO spotted in the same hotel. We've got to talk. We've got to talk this morning, yeah? We've got to talk. So we're going to be talking about these Bruno Saudi talks. We're going to be talking about Jadon Sancho, that we spoke about yesterday, with him scoring in that Europa Conference League final, possibly. Now, Chelsea do want him. Maybe they're not going to be sending him back, but because the contract hasn't been agreed, there's still ways to go for that one. And we've got an update when it comes to Matheus Cunha. So there's plenty to discuss this morning. And it's match day, by the way, as well. It's match day. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. This is going to be a big show. We've already got 600 people through the door. We're already at over 100 likes. And I want to know what you guys think, how you guys are feeling about all of this Bruno Fernandes stuff, because, look, this is the captain at the end of the day. It's the captain of Manchester United, but also this is a Manchester United team that needs cash. We need money, and for incomings, we need outgoings. Now, there are going to be a lot of outgoings anyway, but this would be very significant, not only financially, but also probably been our best player this season, etc. There's a lot to discuss. So click the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Let's get straight into this Bruno news because, again, this is very, very significant stuff. So, obviously, as I mentioned previously, there was all of this chatter about a deadline. There was all this chatter about Al Hilal. They'd put a new offer in, this new, not a bid, must be critically said, not a bid to Manchester United, but a new offer had gone into Bruno Fernandes, to his representatives, £700,000 a week. They want Bruno in before the Club World Cup. Of course, they're going to be participating in that. And they gave a deadline of 72 hours. That was going to end on Thursday. So yesterday, of course, was Thursday. And sort of late yesterday, we saw this emerge on social media. Reports coming out of Saudi that Bruno Fernandes' agent was spotted in front of the Four Seasons Hotel in Riyadh, where Al Hilal officials typically meet with players and their agents. Now, again, I'm sure that Bruno Fernandes' agent is also the agent for many other people. In fact, I can check that out. We'll check that out in just a second of who else he could be an agent for, because that's, that's something to consider. That's something to always think about. But then the Al Hilal CEO was also spotted inside the very same hotel. Fahad bin Nafali, that being Al Hilal CEO, was also spotted at the same hotel as Bruno Fernandes' agent, indicating possibly there might be some talks that were happening between Bruno's agent and between the CEO of Al Hilal, the club that's interested in buying him. Now, Ben Jacobs then gave a very big update on this. And when it comes to Saudi sources, look, Ben Jacobs is very, very, very clued in. So much so that sometimes throughout the regular season, Ben Jacobs will say about some Saudi transfers that no one even cares about. But when it comes to the big stuff, Ben Jacobs, he's had a strong start to the transfer window, it must be said. So he posted the following, saying, Bruno Fernandes' agent, Miguel Pino, traveled to Saudi Arabia this week to meet with Al Hilal and speak with President Fahad bin Nafal. Discussions, described by halal sources as, quote, productive, took place at the Four Seasons in Riyadh, and talks ran late into the evening. So Ben Jacobs there, just that part there, is confirming those first two images that, yes, Bruno Fernandes' agent was at the Four Seasons, and yes, he was there for talks with the Al Hilal CEO. Confirming that in the first part, that's significant. Now, they're saying that these talks were productive and ran late into the evening. Now, Halal said earlier this week that they wanted, or they asked earlier this week for an answer within 72 hours as they look to firm up a marquee signing or marquee signings ahead of the Club World Cup. That starts next month in about, 2-3 weeks' time? It's not very long to go. Halal are still waiting for Fernandes' decision, but are pushing. Saudi sources insist Fernandes is yet to reject their offer, which again is pretty critical here. He hasn't said no as of right now. He hasn't said anything. Continues, adding, significant efforts have been made in the last 2 days to try and get Fernandes' green light. Now, as far as what is Manchester United's position on this, well, Manchester United's position remains they don't want to lose their captain, and no bid has arrived to date from Al Hilal. That's because at the moment, Bruno hasn't even said yes to it. Al Hilal, before making an official bid to Manchester United, are waiting to get the green light from the Manchester United captain that he'd be open or would want to move to. The next few days, according to Ben Jacobs, are going to be key in clarifying Bruno Fernandes' future. So there's a lot there. I think, first of all, Bruno Fernandes continuously gets linked to this move to Saudi, continuously gets linked to this move to Al Hilal. They've wanted him for over a year. This time last year, Bruno Fernandes had an offer. He's even said so himself to leave Manchester United. That resulted in Bruno Fernandes sitting down with Ineos, signing a new contract. Then we have an absolute disaster of a season. No European football whatsoever. Manchester United in desperate need of a rebuild and in desperate need of money to fund said rebuild. Now, a lot of players are going to be moving on this summer, but Bruno could be critical in funding that rebuild because there could be a world record bid for a player from the Premier League in store if Bruno says yes. Generational wealth for him, for his family, for everyone involved. There's a lot of moving parts to this one, but United need the cash. They don't want to lose their captain, but they need the cash. Now, as I said the other day, there's a deadline for Thursday. Ben Jacobs is there kind of clarifying that actually this could continue on for the next couple of days. And this one is very, very real. Now, Bruno could very easily stay at Manchester United this summer, or Manchester United could say, look, Bruno, we love you. We want to keep you, but it's difficult to say no to 100, 110, 115, 120, 125 million pounds. That's very, very tough. And this one, I think if you dismissed it as it's not true, it's not even a thing. We hear about these Saudi links all the time. We hear about these, Saudi news, linking to players. And, we had it with Casemiro last year, didn't we, specifically for United? Or we had it with previously, was it Jadon Sancho, which we'll talk about later on. All of this stuff, it's not real. That yesterday, I think very, very, very much made it real. Suddenly, it's very real. His agent's out there in Saudi meeting with the Al Hilal CEO, talking, having discussions. You've got Ben Jacobs, who really, when it comes to, I think, Saudi news in the football space, as a British journalist, he's pretty much up there when it comes to that, when it comes to Saudi news in particular. He's got very, very strong Saudi sources. And if he's saying, look, the talks that they've said are productive, and critically, Bruno hasn't said no yet. Bruno hasn't said no. He hasn't said anything. I think there was at least speaking for myself, there was a feeling that, well, if they've given him a deadline of May 29th, which was yesterday, Thursday, he's not going to respond to that because he's on tour with Manchester United. There's the postseason tour. They're in Hong Kong today. They're going to be playing the Hong Kong national team. It's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Bruno's not going to leave that camp and then suddenly sign for a Saudi team. That's just it. So I think actually people thought when that report came out about the Thursday deadline, well, actually it makes me a bit more comfortable that he's staying because he's not going to sign from whilst he's out there. Now, the latest development is these talks have taken place. Bruno's agent's talking to the Al Hilal CEO. Bruno hasn't said no. And actually, it wasn't really a Thursday deadline. there's a couple more days added onto this. Look, that to me seems very, very real. And at this stage, can you be shocked if this one happens? I don't think you can. I really don't think so. And I think there's a couple of things that really stand out to me here. One, like I said, one is that he hasn't said no. If he had openly said, nope, not interested, nope, I'm not going to go, then it'd be a non-starter. Clearly, there is something here. Clearly, there is something here where Al Hilal feel like that there is at least a modicum of interest. There's at least a small bit of interest. There's at least something there that they feel like they can convince him to sign. Because if it was a non-starter, then they wouldn't keep persisting with it. Clearly, somewhere at some point, they've been given at least some indication. Well, I mean, I guess would be interested. But as he said, if Manchester United say to me, not that we don't want you, but I even used the phrase after the Europa League final, didn't he? Cash in. If they want to cash in on me, and they say that they've accepted an offer, then I'll go. I don't think it's ever going to be a case of. I don't think it's ever going to be a case of Bruno not being wanted. Bruno is wanted at Manchester United. Bruno is highly, highly thought of at Manchester United. He is very much admired at the club, and they don't want to lose him. Ruben Amorim definitely doesn't want to lose him. He has said so publicly on the record. I'm sure privately he has mentioned it many, many times. He doesn't want to lose Bruno Fernandes. He doesn't want to lose his captain. He doesn't want to lose his countryman. But $1 Million Man settings, Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price. Even Bruno Fernandes, particularly where we are right now, which is if you put down £100+ million for someone that's 30, how can you turn that down? And the thing is, Man United really can kind of name their price here because Al Hilal will be willing to pay it. I think 100 million. I think it'd be a minimum. A minimum. I think it would be more. If you got an offer that went, okay, we'll give you 120 million pounds, not euros, pounds. By the way, this will be the one that they do report in pounds, not euros. They only report these things in euros and dollars when we're the one buying. Notice that with Matheus Cunha, how often they've been putting that in euros and pounds over the last few days. But if Al Hilal went, all right, yeah, we'll give you 125 million pounds. I don't know. I don't know how Man United can turn that down. And as far as Bruno, this guy's obviously already a multi-millionaire. He's a professional footballer. His current wage is £300,000 plus a week. And that's just his Man United base salary, let alone bonuses, endorsement deals, other investments that he's likely got. So he's doing fine financially, but there's that. And then there's £700,000 a week. £700,000 a week for you, for your family, for your loved ones, for people close to you. It's generational wealth, isn't it? I mean, it's already making someone that's very, very, and again, not that, I don't think that will mean much to Bruno in terms of the finances, but for everyone, that affects a lot of people, and that's really tough. That's going to be really tough to turn down too. But he said that he's waiting for the nod from United, but this is the thing, isn't it? It feels like you've got a situation there where you've got the player and the club both waiting for the other one to move first. So it's like almost like the club are waiting for Bruno. Do you want to go? Do you want to go? You interested in going? Because if you want to go, we'll let you go. And Bruno's like, do you want me? Because I'd stay, but if you don't want me, if you just tell me you don't want me, then I'll go. It's fine. Or tell me that you're going to accept the bid, and then we'll go. Then I'll go. And both are kind of I don't know. Both are waiting to be perceived as the good guy in this. They're waiting to be, well, if you want to, like, if you want to, is that's are you interested? Like, I used the analogy the other day. It's like going out for dinner, and then when they ask for the dessert menu, do you want to see the dessert menu? You start asking around the table. Do you want to? Do you want to? Do you want one? Well, I'll have one if you're going to look at it. I mean, you're still hungry. You had a big meal, didn't you? So and then eventually everyone comes to the consensus. We'll have a look. We'll have a look. We'll have a look. And that's what I think this will be, which is we'll have a look. We'll have a look. What money are you really going to be putting down, Bruno? And in terms of his agent. It's the agent's job, isn't it, to listen to every offer and then bring it back to his client. That's the agent's job. So the agent necessarily being in Saudi. I mean, I suppose that is a development, as in, look, talks are actually happening, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking a meeting. And he's got to bring an offer back to Bruno. I mean, Bruno's told the story, hasn't he? Bruno's told the story of how he joined Manchester United, whereby he says to his agent, go get me Manchester United. That's the only one I'm interested in. And he tells a story about he was crying in his not his car, crying in like his wardrobe or something like that. But he was told, Manchester United are interested, etc., etc. So the meeting itself, okay, that's the agent's responsibility. Go hear him out. From an Al Hilal point of view, they talk to the agent. How interested actually is he? Do you think there's something we can do there? That's just part of the game. That's just part of the game, I suppose. So look, this is significant. This is very, very significant. This is I don't know where this one goes now over the next few days. I mean, let me know what you think in the chat. Aloha from Liam says United view rebuilding Man United FC 25 career mode. I don't know, when does FC usually come out? When does that usually come out? It might be worth just waiting until the next one comes out. But wasn't the last one rubbish? I haven't even played the new one, I don't think. DJ Talks, big up DJ. I hope you're doing well, my friend. It says, good morning, my brother. I love Bruno, but a £100 million plus offer is too good to turn down. He's in his 30s now. We won't be winning the league anytime soon. Let him leave whilst getting a huge fee. And I mean, to be honest, a huge fee it's an understatement, isn't it? That is an understatement for a 31-year-old, 100 plus million quid. I mean, like I said, let's say it's 120, 125, maybe even more than that. I mean, you can really name your price, can't you? Let alone how much we need it, to fund players and fund the rebuild. It's tough to turn that down, isn't it? It's really, really tough. Team Nathan, but remember, 34 months. Appreciate 34 months of support. Says, I'll be real, Owen. We need the money. I'd rather have 3 players that consistently give us 7 out of 10 each week than one player that everything goes through. And this is the thing. I mean, if it was me, if I'm in charge of that decision, and I hear, look, Al Hilal are willing to pay £125 million. And I think, and by the way, we make a profit now on Bruno. His original contract, his original transfer fee, etc. It's all been paid off. Anything we get from him now is pure profit on Bruno. So 120, 125 million quid in pure profit, including a summer where we're going to sell Rashford, 40 million, pure profit. Garnacho, 40, 50, 60 million pound, pure profit. And then we get into, well, probably Bayindir's going to go. Maybe Onana's going to go. Rasmus Højlund's maybe going to go. Already the people that have left on freeze, Eriksson, Lindelof, Johnny Evans. Who else is going to go as well in terms of other exits? You have Anthony, Anthony's going to go to. I mean, we're talking double-digit players. And in terms of the funding, just fund, I mean, bloody hell, that would be a real significant, majorly significant amount of money. Now, that's one part of it, because again, these are all the thoughts I think that keep going through. Certainly, my mind is that's a lot of money, but actually, these people in charge of the transfers, Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Christopher Vavel, Sir Jim. Actually, do I even trust them to spend that money and get it right? Because if I'm looking at this empirically, if I'm looking at this in terms of actual evidence, what I have seen thus far, I can only base what I think will happen based off what I have seen thus far is they've consistently made mistakes. They openly state they have. Yeah, we got that wrong. Yeah, we got that wrong. Yeah, we got that wrong. So this money that they've got, this KG, we'll use now the war kitty, the war kitty. How are they going to get that right? Because the evidence suggests no. They have so badly effed things up at Manchester United that I don't trust them to get it right. But is that a good enough reason to not do it? Well, we're only going to get it wrong, so what's the point? I suppose you've got to try. I suppose you've got to try, but I don't. And then again, I think this is where we all are as Manchester United fans at the moment, where we're kind of like this with any transfer that comes in, isn't it? Any transfer that comes in, we're so downtrodden on the club in general and the people in positions of power at Manchester United that there is no faith and there is no trust that they will get it right. But you've kind of just got to do it, I suppose, anyway, because you can't just stop, can you? You can't just stop and just do nothing. Because if we take that mentality of, you know what, nothing's going to fix us, there's no point, then we'll just keep what we've got here and we'll just continue to get worse. So we've got to try, but we're also trying when we've got no faith that they're going to get it right. So we're kind of stuck, aren't we? We're kind of stuck. So if you ask me today, Owen, and let me know in the chat about this. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Will Bruno Fernandes be here at the end of the summer, or will he be an Al Hilal player? There's something in me. I just feel like this one's going to happen. I feel like, and quite a lot of people are sort of saying towards that they think that he's going to go. I agree. With the developments yesterday, the agent in Saudi, the report from Ben Jacobs, there's just something in me that goes, I tell you what, I think there's something in this. I do. As All Elite says right there in the chat, if it wasn't going to happen, it'd be shut down right now. The fact that nobody is saying no here, that's where I go. If I had to predict today, if I had to gamble today, I'd lean towards betting on I think that it does happen. I'd lean towards that. It's not a huge majority, but that's where I'm leaning towards at the moment, is I feel like this one's going to happen because it's the fact that Bruno hasn't said no. Man United haven't said, completely no. The only person that's really saying no that he wants, is that he wants to keep him, or or publicly has been saying no intention. I'm not going to sell him. Is Ruben Amorim. He's the only one who's really, I don't want him to go. I don't want him to go. I don't want to go. And it's a situation where I think everyone involved probably doesn't want it to happen. You know what I mean? If this was an ideal world, we'd be in the Champions League. We'd have a lot of financial pull. We'd be fine financially. And we wouldn't even go, look, as much as you want him, we don't need to sell him. We're in the Champions League. We've got money. it's fine, no problem. But that's not the reality that we're currently living in, is it? It's not. The reality is we need the money. We need to get players in this summer. We didn't get in the Champions League, so that's made it even more difficult for us. On top of that, it's generational wealth. It's an unbelievable amount of money for him and his family. So and then that's when you get into the discussion of, well, actually, you know, would it actually be a positive for United of, you know, everything goes through Bruno, things go through other people, maybe that's not, instead of just one player, maybe that's not bad. And look, the Cunha one's going to happen regardless, but you know, that's when you can compete for Mbumo, right? You get Mbumo, okay, yeah, okay. And then with the striker situation now, after yesterday's developments about Liam Delap, who of course is going to Chelsea, and we spoke about this yesterday morning. Flex spoke about it in the Flex's view too. Now you have to look at different striker targets, but if you've got this Bruno money in, can you then actually, you know, look at different strikers that maybe you couldn't previously, and we couldn't really convince them with where we're at the moment, but we can put a bit more money towards it, and that's suddenly that's a bit more open. Like it just opens up a lot of different possibilities, and I just lean towards being like, I feel like this one's going to happen. I feel like this one is going to happen. And then if the pressure wasn't already on Ineos and the powers that be at Manchester United, which it obviously is, then the pressure is on, right, get it right. And you know, like with the possible doubts about Ruben Amorim, you go, you know, to fund this Ruben Amorim transfer window, which he needs, but is he the right man? Like, it's all of these discussions come back, don't they? All of these discussions come back. We've got over close to 1,700 people watching this morning, which is fantastic, guys. We're nearly at 400 likes. Let's see if we can get to 500, 750. Also, be sure to subscribe. As you can see in the top right-hand corner there, we're about, 63 subscribers away. 63 subscribers away from 194,000. So if you haven't already, be sure, subscribe. This is going to be, well, obviously a absolutely massive summer at Manchester United. We'll get to your super chats in just a second, because I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think I may have just seen some breaking news. Right, we do have some breaking news here, folks.
Breaking news.
And this is related to what we're talking about. So we were talking about Bruno Fernandes here, and there are some developments this morning because, according to Samuel Lutkers from the Manchester Evening News, Bruno Fernandes, the Manchester United captain, is indeed giving serious consideration to joining Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal. So Bruno right now is thinking about it. Yeah, as much of this chatter and discussion about his agent, this, that, and the other. The breaking news right now is the Manchester United captain is legitimately giving serious consideration to joining Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal. So it also says Al Hilal are eager to conclude a deal quickly so Bruno can play for them in the Club World Cup, which we already knew. Manchester United sources are relaxed about the situation. So I tell you, I'm leaning towards this one. I'm leaning to this one happening. Imagine thinking about that. What have you got to think about? Well, I've got to think about, you know, do I want £700,000 a week? And I tell you what, isn't it? I tell you what now too. People are going to be the body language experts, folks, are going to be watching today, right? The body language experts are going to be focused in, honed in, big time at the moment, because obviously, look, it's match day today. We're playing the Hong Kong national team. Bruno will be involved, same way that he was involved in the game against the Asian All-Stars on Wednesday. This is crazy. This is crazy. Right, where was I at with the super chats? Keegan, I think Keegan was next. It's been a member for 35 months. Big up, Keegan. Says 125 million for Bruno. How does that change our transfers? Who are you getting that you otherwise wouldn't have? Well, I think it changes our transfers because you can get more. I would think. We're limited with what we've got. And more development now. More development. Not only is Samuel Utker saying that Bruno Fernandes is giving serious consideration to joining Al Hilal, but now this is being corroborated and reported by BBC Sport. So that would be most likely Simon Stone, and also Time Sport, that Bruno Fernandes indeed is seriously considering leaving Manchester United for Al Hilal. So in the last few minutes, we've got confirmation from Samuel Lutkers from the Manchester Evening News. We've got confirmation from BBC Sport. We've also got confirmation from the Times as well. And to be honest, the fact that the BBC are saying that, I mean, if that's Simon Stone, he don't report anything until he gets confirmation or gets told you can actually report that. Right, we got this. Right, this is officially breaking now. This is actually officially breaking because I've just seen as well, Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic is also saying the same thing. Laurie Whitwell is reporting in the last couple of minutes, Bruno Fernandes is indeed giving serious consideration to Al Hilal approach as talks continue in Saudi Arabia. Manchester United are relaxed about the situation. Fernandes has been an example on this postseason tour. He's totally committed to fans and younger players. Right, I'm going to get this article and read it for you guys because that's right. That's what we've seen right there. What we've seen right there, that is a briefing. That is a briefing. That is, I don't know if that's from United. I don't know if that's from Bruno's representatives or from the Saudi reps. What we've got there at the same time, because when you see all of the journalists say the same thing at the same time, they have all been told clearly the same thing by the same person. That's how this works. So clearly, either Bruno's camp, the Saudi camp, or Manchester United have reached out and said, look, he's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. We're relaxed about the situation. We've planned for both. We planned for both, but he's seriously considering this offer. This is very, very big, and this is developing right now, folks, in real time. So this is the article from Laurie Whitwell. This is what it says. I'll read it out for you guys. Be sure to read the whole thing on The Athletic. It says Bruno Fernandes is giving serious consideration to an approach from Al Hilal with talks continuing in Saudi Arabia. Al Hilal are trying to pull off a major transfer by recruiting the Manchester United captain, whose agent has flown into the Middle East for negotiations. The outcome is uncertain at this stage, but it is felt Fernandes has not ruled out the prospect of leaving United, aka, look, he's open to it. Now, the deal, according to people familiar with the matter, speaking anonymously to protect relationships, is for 4 years on 25 million euros a year net. That's equivalent to triple his current salary, while Al Hilal are said to be prepared. This is the key thing. This is the key thing here. Al Hilal are said to be prepared to pay Manchester United £80 million. Now, when you hear that transfer fee there, £80 million, what's your reaction to that? 80 million quid. Because all of the suggestion previously was 100, 115, 120, etc. They're saying 80 million pounds. For me, I hear that and I go, not enough. Not enough. If that legitimately is what the max that they're willing to pay, then I would go back and go, maybe that's why United relaxed on the deal. Because if it's 80, not interested in that whatsoever. It's got, for me, minimum. I'm looking at 100 minimum plus add-ons, obviously. But if the suggestion is 80 million pounds, not interested in that. That's not for me. Not interested. If that's an opening salvo, if that's an opening bid, and then we can negotiate from there, okay. Well, it's not enough to just completely ruin talks or go not interested. But if you're saying 80 million pounds is what you're prepared to pay, deal's off. Deal's not happening. That's got to be way more. I mean, because if you look at some of the bids that they've put in for players in recent weeks. I mean, what was it? It was for when with Matoma, because again, it is all Saudi PIF. At one point, Brighton rejected an offer from Al Nassr for Matoma back in January of £75 million. £75 million they bid for Matoma from Brighton. So if you're willing to bid 75 for Matoma and you're saying Bruno's only 5 million more, no. We're not doing that. We're not. We're not interested. We're not doing that. Now, I suppose the critical thing here is that there have been links possibly suggesting that Al Nassr and Al Hilal are targeting both Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez from Liverpool. Now, could Manchester United find themselves in a bit of a situation where if they don't get Bruno, that money, possibly 100 million, goes to, well, actually, Liverpool will give you 100 or maybe 120 million for Diaz and Darwin Núñez, and then Man United, oh, we've missed out. But have we missed out? Oh, this is 80s low. 80s low for me. 80s on the low side. I think if that's a negotiating part, start from there and carry on. But well, we've got over 1,800 people watching. Let's see if we can get to 750 likes, guys. Again, this story's happening in real time. This is happening in real time here at the moment. So stay locked in, stay tuned. Terence says 100 mil for a 31-year-old. I take them. He's a loyal servant. Love him, but with that money, we could get 2 to 3 players in positions that need help most. All Elite says Garnacho, Rashford, Bruno sold for £200 million. Salon fees for Alvaro and Greenwood as well. We'll be swimming in cash. Rebuild starts now. Let's go. Glory, glory, UV. Uncle says they didn't get it wrong last summer, though, referring to Ineos. M&M says the best player we recruited in the last 13 years. Ollie had his personal scout look at him before getting him in January. Do Ineos have the same talent ID? Super chat here from I'm Tiaz says people forget where Barada comes from and what he's been up to this last decade. The man was pivotal in Man City's dominance. Respect, respect, respect. All Elite says Bruno to wave goodbye after the game today. Uncle says if Bruno doesn't play today, Cash. Well, I think he's going to play regardless. He's going to play. It's like I said, it's just now we're going to get into the body language territory, aren't we? Of does he, like All Elite says there, does he wave goodbye? Is he in tears? You know when you saw Emi Martinez at the end of that Villa game a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, why is he crying? Does that mean he's going to leave? That means he's going to leave. If Bruno Fernandes shows the smallest bit of emotion today towards the Manchester United fans, then it'll be like, right, this is game over. It's happening. Matt says, ooh, only 80 million. That's a hard no from me. I'll tell you what. Let's get some calls here. Let's see if I can call KG the comedian to start off with. So I think Flex in a meeting. But let's see if KG the comedian will answer the phone.
This person's phone is currently unavailable.
What's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this guy? Honestly.
OWEN United View.
Mr. the comedian.
What's going on?
You're live right now.
Yep.
Have you heard the news?
It's shit, isn't it?
The news is Bruno Fernandes is seriously considering joining Al Hilal. In addition to that, Manchester United say they're relaxed on it. This is coming from everyone, BBC, Times, Laurie Whitwell from the Athletic Tier 1 Laurie. But the suggestion is they're willing to triple Bruno's salary from what he's currently on. So he's on 300. So that's close to £1 million a week. But it says that Al Hilal are willing to pay Manchester United £80 million for the captain.
They got to raise that to 100.
But do you think? But now with this, with the pictures yesterday of him, his agent rather, in Saudi, at the Four Seasons in Riyadh, talking to the Al Hilal CEO of today, all of these people coming out, he's seriously considering it. Is this one happening?
This one's happening. Absolutely. No one goes to Riyadh for no reason. There's no alcohol. You just got his business only, mate. It's not like a holiday destination in it at the moment. They're still working on that. They're in phase 1, they said, when I spoke to the last sheikh. So it's not Dubai yet. So if you go to Riyadh, you're getting there to do big business deals. And they're there. You don't go there to just, what's the point? What was the point of saying, I've just flew into this country to tell you we're not interested because we want to give you the respect? No, we're here to hash out a deal, and it's got to make sense to all parties. The only person still getting like mistreated is Man United, because how are they only putting down 80 million? What's that all about?
Yeah.
But only us though. They've been putting in great bids every single time Man United pull up, and then we still get disrespected. Well, they need to make sure, get that price up to 110, 100 million, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, because I was saying in January they went up to £75 million for Matoma from Brighton. So we saying Bruno's only 5 million more than that, but you know Bruno's
I think if they want him, and it's like the Man United negotiations should see how great they are right now, because they're saying that this is our captain, the most important player to us. We got to make them feel that, and we got to make them feel that in the price range. So that price range has to make sense. For real, like 100 million, you can have him. You know what I mean? Really, that's what's going on. That's where we are right now. They're going to pay it all at once. It's pure. They know how desperate Man United is. That's the killer. Yeah. So people are going to come and do things like this. They know you need money. You already missed out on 100 million before. Sir Jim's doing interviews saying that we are struggling to keep the lights on. We're sacking all our staff. You're going to offer the money that you think they desperately need. Now, have Man United got what it takes to hold out and get exactly what they want? That's the question. Like how all these other clubs rob us. When do we get to do like what Dortmund done to us and say, you got this time to buy our player or the deal's off? When do we start getting to move like, how Everton did with fucking Brentford? Excuse my language.
Well, this is the thing, KG. I think this is the reason why it feels like it might happen, is because remember that thing a couple of days ago? It was like, right, you've got to let us know by Thursday. Well, Thursday's come and gone. The meetings were still happening, and now they're like, actually, take a look in the next couple of days. So now it feels like actually
this is over.
They are willing to wait. You know what I mean? They are willing to wait. Yeah. And critically, like you said, nobody said no yet. That's the other part. Nobody said no.
Exactly. And it was so easy. And I'll never forget that presser where they asked about the manager. They asked about players. And when to ask about Garnacho and Bruno. And he said, look, we're going to play games, this, that, and the other. Right now, I think his again, what we keep talking about this part in it, contractual obligation. Yeah. They need Bruno to play on Friday because it was promised to the Asian tour thing that we're doing. After that's done, Bruno is over. They want to see that he's still in the squad because they paid all this money. Who they really want to see? They don't want to see no damn Collier and all these. Like, they want to see Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho. As soon as it's done, all them players, see you later. That's where we are right now. And I understand it, because if I'm paying for something, don't turn up with Shea Lacey and bloody, I want to see the real ballers, or the ones with the names at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a disgrace. To be honest, Owen, it's a disgrace. We're in order. If Bruno's a net negative, as we've all said, we'll get to see now if everyone was right, or this could be our Coutinho moment. It can be a positive, or it can be a dark. It can be dark, but really, when you proper look at it, Owen, the thing that scares me is we're not getting the people that we're really trying to go for. So we're gonna have this 80 million burning a hole in our pocket. Who are we gonna buy with it?
Well, that's the thing. Do they because they've got the money? Do they then try and be like, look, Gyökeres, we know you weren't interested, but we can give you more money now. So like, is that the route that they go, or do they just go, look, actually we can, go for more of these players that we haven't even been linked to at the moment, but we've got, like you said, we've got the money burning the hole in our pocket. Is this?
Guys, remember that we actually did try to go for Liam Delap, a man that got relegated, and he's chosen another club over us. So I get the variable. We have more money now, but we always had enough money to do the Delap deal. He chose somewhere else because it's better to play football there. Now we have to go for players that are going to choose between us, Chelsea, Newcastle. Are we the better option, or are we going to keep making the same mistakes of players choosing Man United for the money, and we find ourselves in the same situation again, career or money? And if they choose Man United, a little part of you is going to question that Cunha feels like he just desperately wants to play for Man United. Wicked, but we need a group of players that want to do that. We don't want to force a player to come to us. He turns down Man City or something purely for the money. We're in Jadon Sancho. We're in Alexis Sanchez territory again.
I got one for KG. What if they said, look, Bruno, we get 80 plus million, maybe get 100 million. And with that money, we can actually now go get Osimhen. The problem before was salary and wages, but now we can afford it.
Even like, I'm telling you, I can't get excited. Like, I'm sorry to be in my negative era, bro, but I need to see what Sir Jim's and his team's doing, to be honest. I can't get excited about nothing at the moment, just because I've seen how this club's just operating like a complete farce. If we're being real, let's just be honest about things. They got players splitting up. Some of them are in India right now doing kick-ups and stuff and doing rondos and that. Like, it's a joke, bro. We're a laughing stock, if we're being fair. So I think they're not pulling the wool over my eyes. Ineos, pull your finger out and get to work, because this is not what they said when they said we're going to put Manchester back in Manchester. Mate, you're in India in the off season, and none of the players want to be there. Not even the manager. And this is why all the players, Bruno are like, what am I doing here? I can go and get paid generational wealth. I'm out. Now, people might not like the sound of this, the tone of this call, but I'm just being honest and real. It's a disgrace what we're doing at this club. This once great club is acting like it's disgusting, really. You got them on an open top bus. They don't look comfortable. No one looks happy, and you shouldn't have to do this at Man United, but we're forced to go and get the check by any means possible. It's disgusting. But yeah, that's how I feel.
Big up, KJ. I thought I was going to tempt him with the Nigerian.
No. That's how you know it's bad. That's how you know it's bad.
Yeah.
Pissed off.
Yeah. All right. Nice one. All right. Speak to you later, man. Peace. I really thought I was going to get him. I really thought I was going to get him. KJ, man. Maybe he is measured. After all, maybe he actually is measured. Perhaps. Maybe he is. For those wondering, like Chris says there, tell KG they are not in India. Some actually did fly to India for a commercial appearance. That was a legitimate thing. I think Maguire. Oh, who else? It was Maguire. Someone else flew to India for a commercial appearance, just for an appearance. It's bad. Some PR. I said Maguire, Dallo. Yeah, it's insane. They flew out to India just to be. How was it? It was Maguire, Onana, and Dallo are currently out in India for a commercial appearance. Yeah, it's just hey, look again. Got to make that money. Yeah, big market. Big market. We didn't get Champions League football. Got to do what you got to do. So yeah. We've got close to 2K watching, by the way, guys. We're over 500 likes, which is great. If you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get 750. A reminder, top right-hand corner there, we're closing in on just 50 away. 50 away from 194,000, getting closer to 200K. It's going to be a massive summer. If today's not an example of it, just how big this summer is going to be, we've got, obviously, the captain of Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes, is seriously considering an offer from the Saudi team, Al Hilal, that could triple his wages. He's already on 300K a week, so we get close to £1 million a week. Reports suggesting that £80 million could be the offer that Al Hilal offered to United. I think if that's the highest they're willing to go, then the answer would be no, we're not interested, but that might just be the starting point. Start from there, build it up. So this is a story that's absolutely going to develop over the course of the next several days, hours. In addition to that, of course, we've got later on today the final game officially of this Manchester United season. We've got a postseason friendlies. So postseason friendly today, we've got Hong Kong versus Manchester United. Kickoffs at 1. So I'll be live around 12-ish for that one. I'll be live with Fleck. Fleck will be with me and we'll discuss all of this. So you won't even have to wait too long to hear Fleck's opinion on it all. In addition to that, we're fully in transfer season. With this window being open from Sunday, remember the transfer window opens on Sunday for 10 days. My prediction is that 10 days, I might not be able to sleep throughout the entirety of the 10 days. I think that is going to be a manic 10 days across the board for transfers. Obviously, this Bruno stuff. There's obviously the Cunha thing. When is that going to be announced? From just other clubs, you're looking at Frimpong going to Liverpool, Kerkez going to Liverpool, maybe Florian Wirtz going to Liverpool, Chelsea. You've got, obviously the Liam Delap. There's a here we go on that one. Zubimendi to Arsenal. For Real Madrid, there's talks obviously about Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like this is going to be a mad 10 days. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Now, the Bruno stuff's really actually just taken up all of the show this morning, but I do have some other things that we're going to get to. So if we carry on running over, we run over, stick with me. This is going to be I think this is going to be a extra long show. So stay locked in. We do have some updates when it comes to Jadon Sancho, because it's not just Bruno that could possibly be an outgoing this summer. It's also Jadon Sancho, because even though reports suggested with Sancho that Sancho was going to be, they're going to pay us $5 million to take Sancho back. Now, maybe after what happened in the Europa Conference League final, maybe Chelsea are interested in keeping him. This is the latest development when it comes to Jadon Sancho. So once again, Ben Jacobs, who's having one hell of a summer, by the way, absolute one hell of a summer, is saying Chelsea are in talks with Jadon Sancho over a new deal that would see them trigger the obligation to buy from Manchester United for up to £25 million. Now, Chelsea's preference, and I suppose this is key here, Chelsea's preference is for Jadon Sancho to stay and adjust his wage to fit within Chelsea's incentivized driven structure. Now, discussions don't yet guarantee that Sancho will remain, but reveal a willingness to find a solution. Now, should terms not be agreed, Chelsea will pay £5 million, a £5 million penalty fee, returning Sancho to Manchester United. This report was also echoed by Carve from Sky Sports, saying that Chelsea are in talks with Jadon Sancho's representatives about a new contract or new contract terms. They want him to stay, but his contract has to fit into their wage structure. So to be honest, I mean, that's a development that I wasn't too sure of. I mean, it felt like for the last few weeks, or certainly last couple of months, didn't it? That, no, they're having second thoughts. They'll be willing to pay the $5 million. So they don't have to pay 25. But now, that one looks to me like that's going to be on. I mean, if you're Jadon Sancho, sure, it's in your best interest to, adjust your wage and fit into their wage structure. Where else are you going to go that you're going to get the big money? I mean, he had the option to go to Saudi, didn't he? When it first all blew up between him and Eric Ten Hag, because the Saudi window went an extra week, and he said no, that he didn't want to do that. Instead, he was in exile for until the January transfer window. Then he went on loan to Borussia Dortmund. So you've just won a European trophy at Chelsea. The club wants to keep you. Where else you go? You're not going to get the big wages really anywhere else. Certainly not in the Prem. Now, I don't think many Prem clubs would be willing to give you that amount of money. If you want to go across Europe, you're definitely not going to get that money. I think it's in his best interest to accept and stick around at Chelsea. There's a lot of good players on. Again, a lot of these Chelsea contracts, they're really, really long, but they're very, incentivized. So their base salary is like 100K a week or 150K a week, something like that. But there's massive bonuses for hitting certain metrics, whether it's goals, appearances, trophies, etc., etc. So this one for me feels like back on. I mean, again, the only problem was because this whole thing with Chelsea got agreed to so late that he didn't actually agree to a contract with Chelsea. It was just, we'll figure that out later on down the line. Now it looks like, this one could be back on. So I think that's really positive news. That's why, like I said yesterday morning, when he scored in that Europa Conference League final, and people were like, it had to be him. Yeah, it did. That's good. It was good. It was good that he scored in that Europa Conference League final, because that might be the difference where Chelsea go, yeah, actually, we can maybe utilize him. And if he wants to be shown as a team player, yep, I'll take a wage cut, and I'm happy here. I've got roots in London too. This is, and I believe in the project, long-term deal. So I think this one could happen. And again, that's 25 million quid. Who's to say that we would get 20 plus for Sancho? Who knows? Again, do I have the faith in us to even get rid of him. Yes, but with what it was last summer, with clubs being interested but not being able to afford him, I like the easiest path, and the easiest path is him staying at Chelsea. I don't care about how well he does or doesn't do. Just get that one done. So it looks like this one could be on, and I would hope that he fits into their wage structure when it comes to all that. So that's the update on Sancho. Now, a bit of an update here on Matheus Cunha. When is this one going to happen? As I mentioned, the window opens at the weekend, opens on the 1st of June. So what's happening with Matheus Cunha? Well, I'll tell you the latest as to when we can expect this one to go through. Once again, you guessed it, Ben Jacobs. Again, he's on fire. I'm telling you, he's got a big summer ahead too. So he has said that all is on track with Matheus Cunha's move to Manchester United, regardless of when the deal is actually announced. Cunha's contract may not actually start until July 1st to allow United to place the first installment on the next financial year. Cunha is waiting on a visa before undergoing his Manchester United medical. So this is going to be one of those ones. Again, typical Manchester United. This is when you know where we are financially or what have you. Well, we can't, we can get it done. We've got the here we go and it's all sorted. But because of, financial reasons and because of, FFP and when new things go into effect or what have you, we've got to wait for a little bit. His contract actually won't be until July 1st because look, a lot of contracts go until June 30th. Everything then rolls over. So yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't go into effect until July 1st anyway. So Man United might announce it that they've agreed a deal and in principle and what have you to sign Matheus Cunha, perhaps. But this one, he might not be a Manchester United player until July 1st. So, yeah. Now, I mean, knowing that it's the 30th of May, so we might not actually see Matheus Cunha really have anything, be in a Manchester United kit or training until July 1st. It does feel like a long way off. And by the time it even happens, you might be like, I don't even care about this one anymore. But I suppose that's just clarifying with the Matheus Cunha stuff. Might not happen for a little bit. That one might not happen for a while. So that's the latest on Cunha. We're 4 likes away from 600 likes. If you haven't already, click that like button. Once again, top right-hand corner there. We're just over 50 subscribers away, folks, from 194,000. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Make sure you've got the notifications turned on. Make sure you've got notifications turned on because, as I mentioned, this is going to be a busy week or so, busy couple of weeks or so regarding this right here. Bruno Fernandes to Saudi Arabia. If you're just tuning in, the latest news of the last, 12 hours or so, last night we saw there was Bruno Fernandes' agent was in the Four Seasons in Riyadh. Then Al Hilal CEO was spotted in the same hotel for talks. Ben Jacobs subsequently comes out, says, yep, those talks have happened. Those talks are ongoing. Those talks have been productive. They initially had a deadline of Thursday to get the green light for this deal. Now it's going to be over the next couple of days to see if they can thrash a deal out. Then this morning, we hear from the likes of Samuel Utkus, from the BBC, from the Times, from Laurie Whitwell, from the Athletic, all saying the same thing. Bruno Fernandes, the Manchester United captain, is reportedly seriously considering a move to Al Hilal. Laurie Whitwell suggesting that the Saudi club are willing to triple his current salary. He's on around £300,000 a week at Manchester United. That means his new contract at this Saudi club, if he was to choose to go there, would be close to £1 million per week. Generational wealth, generational money. In addition, Al Hilal reported they're willing to pay Manchester United £80 million for the captain. Now, some would say that's on the low side. That could just be a beginning point to negotiate. But the big question is now, what decision does Bruno come to? Does he decide, I can't turn down that kind of contract? Do Manchester United decide we can't turn down that kind of money? Or is Bruno so irreplaceable, so indispensable that United say, no, we're not interested? Bruno says, no, I'm not interested. I'm committed. I signed a new contract last season. I'm not going anywhere. The question is, what would you do? If you were Bruno, if you were Manchester United, or just as a fan, what do you think should happen? What do you think will happen? Let me know your thoughts. So there you go, guys. That is the latest Manchester United transfer news for you this morning. As I've said, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe. A reminder, we'll be live later on today. Kickoffs at 1 p.m. for the postseason friendly. I'll be live just after 12. That's in 2 hours' time. And who knows what's going to happen? Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen in those 2 to 3 hours? Because I think at this point, anything can happen. So stay locked in, stay tuned. We'll be back later on. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.